I haven't done a video in 2 days, so I mean, since last peak, I kind of took a small break. We're back at it. I mean, obviously the Eastern Pacific is lit up with tropical activity. First and foremost, this is the remnants of Agatha. This is a weakening 40-knot tropical storm blast that likely be declared a post-tropical remnant low within the next 24 hours. And this is strengthening tropical storm Cecilia in the Eastern Pacific. It's likely to strengthen the current winds. I have the NC and the latest advisory has Cecilia at 55 knots. As you'll see on this GFS European run, Cecilia's kind of force is continue west in the general direction of Hawaii. I'm not sure this system will make it to Hawaii or we could out to sea. Time will tell. Regardless, I think the conditions are relatively favorable for Cecilia right now. The wind shear is very low. I'll get to that. Wind shear is low. I'll get to that in a second. But for the time being, you can see the latest key numbers are at T3.5 on both SAB and TAFB, which is why anxiously increasing intensity to 15 knots at the latest advisories. And this Cecilia, remember, was tropical depression 4E, I believe, in my last video. And it struggled as it moved over Cecilia's cold wake. It has now recovered. It kind of has a very small core with like one major curved banding feature. Let's look at the GFS runs now. I mean, yes, that's 222. So obviously here's Blast dying out, and then Cecilia. The GFS has Cecilia becoming a fairly robust hurricane. Probably has a system becoming strong in 2 ways. Just because the fact it's going to be over cold water by then. I'll get to that later. Regardless, here's David maintaining most of its intensity and actually maybe restarting a little bit. And has some kind of skirting the Hawaiian Islands and eventually curving out to sea and eventually brings future Estelle relatively close to the Hawaiian Islands. But it's still several days, it's still 2 weeks down the line. The European, on the other hand, same general thing. I think the European probably peaks. The European, I also think peaks Cecilia too late, though probably a little bit too late. So we'll be counting some cool sea surface temperatures after around 48 hours. Moving just a little bit south of the worst of the cold wave, even though it appears, and I'll show you that, I'll show it to you right now. It appears looking at the sea surface temperature graph from Levi's site that throughout its pathway to Hawaii, the system won't get any colder than probably 24 or 25 C, so I do think it's still able to at least maintain tropical storm or hurricane intensity for a little while, assuming this year as well, which I'll get to in a second, even though it appears for at least the next 5 days it will be, and eventually in terms of track, the Europeans in relatively good agreement with Cecilia, with the GFS, and this is kind of skirting the Hawaiian Islands with Darby and Estelle following behind. Then you can see there's some stronger shear, typical Great Hawaiian shear, but it doesn't appear looking at, kind of hard to tell, looking at the wind direction plot, the 850 millibar vorticity, it doesn't appear, at least at the upper levels, it doesn't appear at least at the mid levels, that the shear will be particularly unprecedented and maybe low, sort of like how we saw in 2014 with Hurricane Zell. I mean, shear throughout the Eastern Pacific has been very low as of late. So I'm not really, Eastern Pacific is basically a no shear zone right now. So I'm not really anticipating these kinds of problems. But it's hard to say. Shear forecasts in this range can be quite fickle. So it's hard to say how much this sort of shear could pose a problem. Regardless, I think Hawaiians keep it really high. And assuming the shear is low, I think that the odds of the system making it to Hawaii would also partially depend on how far south happens, and the system stays south and starts to recurve near Hawaii, like recur to the point where it causes it to move over Hawaii, which is a distinct possibility. Like the system bends to the south and eventually recurves out to sea, but in the meantime we're going through Hawaii, and this is likely to do so as like a minimal hurricane, or like since the system will be at low latitudes and be over 26 sea waters most likely. But I mean, does that mean what's going to cause the system to recurve? Well, let's keep it simple. This trough up here appears to, this upper trough right around here appears to eventually cause a northwesterly movement as it erodes the southern edge of the ridge. So if that happens while the storm's at low latitudes, like right around here, cause the move from Hawaii, I think that's probably the worst case scenario right now. But the system stays north, it stays about a week. The system will be moving over 25 to 24 sea waters, it may just be a tropical storm, assuming there's low shear. But regardless, I think this is still around 9 to 10 days out, so I would not get too worried about the exact details at this point in time. Just kind of a heads up on what the general rule of thumb would be if a tropical cyclone like Cecilia in this time of year is moving in this year environment that's being forecasted by the European model actually verifies. Anyhow, that's it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Bye!